Hello and welcome to another astrology video. This one's talking about what's happening in the sky between the 10th and the 14th of October as Venus opposes Saturn on the 11th of October. Then she makes her way to the point in which the last solar eclipse took place on the 21st of September. And she will be exact at that 29th degree, anaretic degree of Virgo, just before she enters the sign of Libra on the later on that day, or on the 14th of October, depending on your time zone. And then also she will be in opposition to Neptune on the 14th of October. So it's very important and pivotal moment as this kind of reactivates the eclipse energies, and there was that very, very significant kite formation with the eclipse point at the pivotal point opposite the Neptune-Saturn conjunction at that time of the eclipse, whereas Venus will be in that exact place where the new moon eclipse took place, the solar eclipse, and it's kind of pivotal at this point. If we think about the things that took place during the eclipse season that's just passed, and so we're going to recap over that in this video. We're going to also look at the charts, how the chart was at the time of the eclipse and how it will be at the moment when Venus reactivates this energy. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so let's take a quick look at the solar eclipse on the 21st of September. I don't know if you can see the pen. It's very faintly. Okay, so we have this Pluto at 1 degree, Uranus at 1 degree, and we have got the new moon eclipse down here at this 29 degrees and 5 minutes of Virgo, just about to move into Libra. And so the exact opposition would be as it moves into Libra, but it's close enough, it's within, like a degree or so. And this creates this trine or grand trine here, which is like the triangle, the blue triangle. And then on the top of this blue triangle, I don't know if you can see it, there is this Neptune and Saturn conjunction at 0 and at 28 degrees of Pisces and Aries. This is making sextiles to the Pluto and Uranus, but it's making this big opposition to the new moon eclipse. This is what the kite formation was all about. It was like quite a big thing. What tends to happen, although it looks like there's a lot of positive trines and sextiles, what tends to happen is it just makes this opposition stronger. So the energy of the opposition, which is a more tricky, difficult energy, is sort of made bigger in some ways. It's exasperated, it's enhanced, it's much bigger problem. It usually causes some sort of like crisis or that type of thing. So this was the main thing. I mean, there was lots of yods, there was lots of other things going on with this solar eclipse. But what we have to remember, things that were going on around the time of the eclipse. So this was towards the end, like the second eclipse of the season. So at the start of the eclipse season, there'd been a lunar eclipse. What we have to also understand is this kite was first activated by when Mars had moved around, but Mars was in this position. So this is Mars over here. When Mars was in this position, just before it moved into Libra, it activated this kite, or just as it moved into Libra, it activated this kite the first time round. That was on the 9th of August. And then, I need to change this pen. Let's change it to black, see if that works. Maybe change this one. So that was on the 9th of August when Mars activated this kite. And then Mercury had its turn as it moved into Libra, and that was on the 17th of September, so just before this solar eclipse. The lunar eclipse was on the 7th of September, I believe. Trying to remember back. And so the things that we've had happen in that time were government's reshuffle here in the UK, but in France there was huge protests about their governments. In Nepal they completely they had the Gen Z protests, and they completely overturned their government, and they got a new prime minister in Nepal. So that was like various different countries. That's like UK had a reshuffle, France protests, Nepal completely overturned it. There was lots of seismic activity. So during that period of time, there was so right just before Mars moved in August to that point. So right at it's right at the end of August. So just before Mercury got there. So during this eclipse season, just before the previous eclipse, there was a massive earthquake in Afghanistan. There's been quite a lot of seismic activity across North America, and also parts of Russia, the Kamchatka Peninsula, and there was volcanic eruptions in Hawaii, various other places as well. So it's been very active seismically. There has been other things happening as well, but let's just focus more on the sun and the moon. The sun can be about leadership. It rules Leo, so it's about the leaders, and the moon. Saturn can also be about governments, and Neptune has a tendency to break things down, dissolve it, bring about change in some way. But also, this can be about change in respect of breaking down structures, so physical structures by like earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, various different ways of doing that. It can be to do with water, seas, and stuff like that. I believe there was a tsunami somewhere during this eclipse season, but I don't think it wasn't a bad one which caused anything catastrophic. So there is that as well. Aries can be about action. It can be about war. So this is in Aries. This can be about overseas. So there was a lot of things with protests. There was this admittance by the UK government that Palestine does exist, whereas previously they'd been saying it isn't a state, it doesn't exist. So they're now admitting Palestine does exist. There is a true state of Palestine. There was a lot of not anti-Israel but pro-Palestine protests as well. And this can be very much about borders, boundaries, with it being in Saturn in Pisces. It's about borders and boundaries, who owns what pieces of land, stuff like that. Okay, so Virgo is a sign that can usually be about, so it's ruled by Mercury. It's a sign that can be about giving advice, and communications, connections, that kind of thing. But it's usually in helping others. It's service and serving others, service to others. It can sometimes be about health and healthcare, and so can Pisces. So this can be about nursing. It can be about aid, trying to get aid through, talks about ceasefires and all that sort of thing. And that has all gone on. Right at the very start, on the 9th of August, when Mars was at this place, there was the Russian drone attacks in Ukraine, around the Crimea region. But then there was a huge like EU peace talks involving Russia and to try and bring about a solution to bring peace for Ukraine and Russia and the situation there. There have been talks around Gaza and Israel, Palestine, that sort of thing, building up at the moment currently as well. So this is all still going on. There's also been a lot of comets come into play also with this energy around this this eclipse season. We had like 6 comets plus an interstellar object, and like with Uranus can be very much about space and aviation, stuff like that. And this is like in a trine, so this can be like about suddenly revealing, so Pluto's revealing, transformation, stuff like that, showing hidden secrets. And then the sun and the moon shine the light on it. So it was revealed during this eclipse season that there was all these comets and the interstellar objects. That isn't to say they weren't there before, we just didn't know they were there. But it kind of revealed, and we definitely became aware that there were 6 comets plus 3 Atlas in our solar system currently. So it's been a really big eclipse season. Personally, on this eclipse, I mean, it was also the day before the equinox. Equinox is quite a big celebration of Mabon. But I was quite unwell. I had like flu. My children all like had flu and stuff. So we didn't really get to celebrate as we would have done this year. But yeah, it is. So it's been quite eventful time, let's say. So moving forward, if I just clear that bit off, we can see what is to come when we look at the Venus. And the Venus chart is here. So we still have got Uranus here trying to Pluto, and instead of having the sun and the moon here in this trine, we've got Venus. And Venus is here. It's exactly at 29 degrees and 5 minutes, exactly at the same position as the eclipse was. We then have the Saturn and Neptune conjunction in the opposition, and so the kite is, there's this grand trine here, and then there is this minor grand trine connecting, and then it all goes into this kite formation, this big opposition. So what can we expect? Well, Venus is more about it's about relations, international relations. Particularly, there's going to be a lot of peace talks, I should imagine. It can be about personal relationships as well too. But I mean, that's individual. Individual level, I'm sure there'll be things coming up in your relationships and stuff like that, who you relate to, how you connect to others. It can be about money, finances, deals. I think there's likely to be a financial deal, particularly with this being the 8th house and this being just about moving into the 2nd house. So we have this whole financial axis of Neptune in like the area of Aries. This is going to be about tax and debts. It can be about inheritances, contracts and deals. Financial ones. Neptune like dissolves, breaks things down. This can be about so we had like a lot going on with the Trump tariffs, stuff like that, but then there can also be things about TikTok and social media, because this can very much relate to social media, with it being Neptune. It can be about photography, it can be about video, it can be about all those sorts of things. And TikTok is very much an app which was all to do with like videos, sharing videos. So this can be to do with TikTok, definitely. Especially with like it being about how we relate to each other and so there's like very social media. So it would suggest that this maybe comes back up again with a deal with Saturn here. This is about restrictions and limitations. So there was like bans previously, blocking people from using it. There was talks about who owns it and the rights, who should own it, to then protect people to use it and all that sort of thing. So that's likely to come up as well. This can also be very much about Venus, and Virgo is very much about care and nurture. And I would definitely say it was to do with aid and getting supplies to somewhere, charity, like trying to get aid and supplies and charity stuff through to people where it's needed. So Pluto is a revealer. It shows things which have been hidden, and with this being very much below, like, so this is the horizon, it's below the horizon. I would say that this is, that it's sort of in the underworld. It's really secretive. I mean, this is online. With it being in Aquarius, this is like AI and online stuff. Uranus is right up here, highlighted. It's like right by the MC, within half a sign. So, Moon and Gemini. So this is about people. This is about connection, communication. But this can also be about trade and supplies. And this can also be very much about those comets and those interstellar objects, definitely. Space, aviation, out there in the world, beyond our world and sort of into the solar system. Definitely more could be revealed. It could reveal more comets than we realised, or change, or something significant relating to the comets. Definitely could reveal something like that. Kind of once again bringing up almost like a feeling of crisis. I mean, there's so much talk about people thinking that aliens are like come in and all this sort of stuff. People just acting a little bit crazy. So yeah, there's quite a lot of interesting stuff that's going to activate. I was looking at a few other news stories where things had happened during those times where this point was being activated, when Mars was activating it, and then when Mercury activated it. There was a story about an ancient Egyptian bracelet that was stolen from a Roman a museum in Rome in Italy, and it was then found that, or it was proclaimed that on but when that was when Mars was activating that point, but then by the time Mercury got there, the people had said that they had stolen it and they had melted it down and it was no longer existing. So whether more could be revealed about that, and it does exist and it is found, whether it's something that is significant, or unlocks any secrets to ancient Egypt, because obviously earlier on in the year, the previous eclipse cycle, there was those scans done below the pyramids which found that there were like hidden halls underneath, and there was like great big long pillars and stuff like that. So there's something maybe to be revealed around ancient Egypt. Some sort of Egyptian artifact maybe that could be quite revealing. This is very much also about spirituality and beliefs, so this could bring up some shocks and changes in people's beliefs. I mean, there's been so much people talking about rapture and stuff like that, and this is happening, that's happening, it's just not happening. So I think this definitely brings up religious beliefs and a way of crisis as well, because people are, they're using their religious beliefs to behave in a certain way. There was an attack on a synagogue in the UK. There's been a senator or somebody from America set fire to, I think a Quran was set fire to. That, it's just insane. I think people burning Bibles, people doing this, people talking about rapture. Yeah, people are just spiritually a little bit crazy, thinking they can attack someone because of their beliefs. I mean, there was the whole thing with the Charlie Kirk thing where it was about his belief against the person who shot him, I guess, to some extent. So beliefs are definitely going to be coming up around this time. It's very interesting, but I definitely think there could be a lot more seismic activity with this whole Uranus right up here. This is showing up massively. Uranus can be about extreme weather, shocks, surprises, but it's definitely about earthquakes and seismic activity and volcanoes and all those sorts of things. It definitely is about aviation, and it's about space and comets and all those sorts of things as well. So I think that's what we can expect over the next few days. This is going to be playing out from around about the 10th of October. And then it will play out until the 14th of October, because that is when Venus will finally, so she moves into Libra on the 13th and finally then opposes Neptune on the 14th. She first, at 26 degrees, so she'll oppose Saturn first before she gets to this point on the 13th. So yeah, this is going to be playing out between that period of time. But yeah, I think it's going to be quite, whatever happens, it's going to be big news, quite significant. I mean, during the eclipse season, we also had the Trump's visit to the palace, and there was things about there was a big poster or projection on the castle. 4 men got arrested for it, of a photo of him and Epstein together, which was then removed, and like I say, 4 men were arrested. So whether more could come out about Epstein. I mean, Venus can be about females. This could be about sex and hidden scandals and stuff like that with this connection to Pluto. It can be about money, what money was exchanged, where money went, what happened. So there could be some sort of revelation regarding that could be quite shocking. But yeah, we're definitely going to be in a very busy time. I'd also just like to add that this can be regarding things like cyber attacks, with this like Pluto and Uranus trine being activated. This obviously there was this massive cyber attack with Jaguar Land Rover, and this could be about the sort of financial costs and implications that sort of come from that. Okay, so as you can see, I've pulled up the astrocartography map for the 13th of October, when the Venus is in the eclipse point. It's not strictly right because it's kind of based on my location where it all falls, but it gives an indication. So as you can see, let me try and move this down. The brown, green, purple line in close proximity is the Venus Saturn Neptune opposition. We can see that here near Canada, it's intersected with the ascendant and Pluto, which is quite significant. That would suggest there's some major event there, which is going to be quite transformational to the identity of Canada or something around that area. We can see there's like some stuff going on down here in the Antarctica, but also through Africa. So there's been some events going on through Africa as well. This Uranus line hits right on the west coast of Africa, and so Uranus brings like shocks. But it could be further down more to like where it intersects the Jupiter line and the moon line. So yeah, I don't know, somewhere around there could be an incident. But what is really, really standing out is over here. So we know that this Kamchatka peninsula has had loads and loads and loads of seismic activity, loads and loads and loads of, it's actually becoming quite volcanic now because of all the big earthquakes it's had. We also know that Alaska earlier in the year had earthquake swarms, and all the way down the coast of USA really has had. So this would suggest that Alaska is definitely going to become the region where this could really hit. There could be like a huge amount of seismic activity, potentially a very big earthquake or something like that. But I mean, this Uranus line, if you follow it down, it goes all the way down to the coast of USA, near Sacramento, Portland and Oregon. I believe they've had like earthquakes in that region also. So, I mean, it makes it very active, definitely seismically. There are other things over here near Singapore. So we know that we've had, like a lot going on over here. The strange thing is the owner of TikTok, I believe he's from Singapore. So that would kind of bring that into, into the news. There's a lot going on with TikTok, but also there's been a lot going on in the region with things like Nepal and stuff like that, and the overturning of power to now have a female prime minister and the Gen Z protests. So yeah, it's an active map for definite, particularly in that area of sort of like North America, Alaska. I would say definitely that would be possibly where there could be an earthquake, quite a big one maybe this time. I apologise if you can hear a whining noise in the background. It's just my new dog.